Welcome to episode number 23, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Chris and Mike show. Thank you for tuning in. Chris is responding to an important business text here. So
it's done.
It's done. The modern technology. That was great.
Modern technology.
So while I was waiting patiently for my partner here, I remastered another one of our songs. So we're going to debut it here live on the podcast.
Yes, live on the podcast.
This would be Freeman.
Freeman. It's the drums we were talking about.
Awesome.
Oh, I forgot about the harmonica, man.
Everybody, listen to me. I'm gonna tell you how it's supposed to be. I'm gonna be a free man. I'm gonna fight until the end. I'm gonna find the answers here. I'm gonna make it all quite clear. In this world today, we all get betrayed. Just like a better man, he's got a brain and spine. I'm gonna choose the road out there. I'm gonna choose the road to stay. I'm gonna fly with the heavens above. I'm gonna be the chosen one. People tell me how to live my life. And fucking preachers tell me about the afterlife. I'm gonna make it if I can. I'm gonna be down the road. I'm gonna fly with the eagle above. I'm gonna be the lonesome dad. I'm gonna find the answers here. Every motherfucker gotta disappear for
Mike Douglas in the guitar, ladies and gentlemen.
Listen, children, to my mind. I am a victim or Jesus Christ. Well, I'm gonna tell you about the afterlife. I'm gonna tell you about what happened last night. I'm gonna tell you about my insanity.
I love that fucking song. That is a good fucking... I'm not just saying it's a good fucking song because it's our song, but that's a good fucking song.
I'm all pumped up now. Holy fucking crap.
Yeah, that's... I forgot how fucking... Dude, that's such a good song.
So,
Where the fuck did you pull that out of your ass?
ladies and gentlemen, that is how we opened every show. So if you want to know why people stuck around and why we kept getting better gigs, that's the first song you heard every time you came to see us play and people paid attention. because it was a lot of fun.
Yep. How could you not pay attention to that?
It just kicks
The
ass,
drum
man.
beat alone.
Yes.
Drum beat alone for an opening song. It's kind of like how Candlebox, they would open with "Someone Got an Arrow" because it was such fast driving.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because you're right. You
Sweet
just
arrow.
you can't. Yeah. And that gets your blood boiling, and it was so much faster live.
Oh yeah.
It was just fucking in your face, and by the time we're done with that, we were all just fucking sweating because it was such a just fuck, dude. I want to get on stage and sing that song right now.
I know, man. That's how I felt when I was mastering it. So
Yes, nice job, dude.
yeah, it's
So-
It's hold on. It's super unfortunate that the actual solo is not in there. That was like, I don't know. It was a weenie solo that I put on there.
Mm,
The drums were right, and your vocals were right, and Rick's bass was
Yeah.
right. For some reason, I never went back and put the solo on there after I actually wrote it. Like the idea is
Oh.
there, but I can
Yeah.
hear the. Well, I actually heard the difference because I watched it on the DVD. I'm like, that can't be the solo. I
Oh,
went with.
gotcha.
The idea is there.
Right.
It got so much
Did-
better.
Yeah. It's still fucking. That was a nice trip. That was a nice trip down memory lane. And that. And again, I mean, we're biased because it's our music, but that shit would be relevant today.
Yeah, it was when I listened to it again.
Timeless song. Yeah, it's a timeless song.
In the last
So much of what. Yeah.
in the last hour and a half, I've listened to it probably 20 times to get it right.
Yeah.
The original recording, just so everybody's on the same page with Chris and I, it was done on an 8-track reel-to-reel.
Mhm.
So back in the day, you went into a studio, and if it was a nice studio, they had a big 2-inch tape machine, and it was 24 tracks. I had an 8-track 1/4-inch tape machine, which was high tech for its day. There was no record to your computer or your iPhone because there was no computer or iPhone to record to. So
Right. Exactly.
we did those
There's
drums
none of this
in a
alien technology.
we did those drums in a little tiny room, and we did the guitars and the bass in my apartment. We did his vocals in my apartment. So this was real low budget operation.
Yep.
So I went into GarageBand and I threw all kinds of compressors and limiters and just brought as much of it out as I could. And when I hit the compare button, I was like, holy crap, man. There's things in there I never heard before, like Rick's bass.
Right. Well, it's the same. I don't remember. I mean, I remember the harmonica, but I didn't remember the harmonica till just then.
I pulled that out with some crazy effect, and I could only get the very end of it to really pop through, but I knew you'd get a kick out of that because, once again, not everybody's on the same page, so we'll catch you up to speed. That was the original bass player playing that harmonica part, and Chris liked it, so we left it in there. I was going to delete it out, and you're like, no, dude, leave it in there. It'd be great right before I start singing. I said, okay, whatever.
Yeah. And I remember I was supposed to learn that, and I never did.
Yeah, we could have just, slipped that in the PA or something if we really wanted to, but it was not really important because we were opening up for whoever that night. And
Right.
just going on and
But no,
starting
it's
to
still
kick ass was great.
that's part right. But from a recording standpoint, that's just. I mean, you get when I hear a harmonica in a song, like you just like fuck yeah,
Oh, yeah.
because there's not that many harmonicas in rock and roll, Sabbath does it, I think. Fuck, that's the only one I can think about. Sabbath, what Blues Traveler, but they weren't really rock; they were blues, obviously.
Okay,
With a twist
so
of rock.
I will
that-
tell you a song that you and everyone needs to go listen to is the new Slash and Brian Johnson. Look it up on YouTube. I think the song's called Killing
Okay.
Floor.
Killing Floor, Floor. Okay.
And you're asking, why did he interrupt my train of thought? Because
No,
Steven
not-
Tyler is on that song blowing some of the craziest blues harmonica I have ever
on.
heard in my life. He steals the show, man. Just
Right on.
kicking ass.
Yeah, now that you say Steven Tyler, yeah, there's harmonica in Aerosmith.
And for
What's
those of
the
you
new
who
album
are,
called?
well, it's just a song. It's on YouTube right now. It's an old
Or is it Orgy of the Damned? Is that the album it's coming off of?
Oh, do they have a whole album?
Killing Fields. Yeah. It's a pre-order. It's a pre-order right now. It's called Orgy of the Damned.
Killing Floor.
There's 12 songs. Yeah, 12 songs.
The song should be called Killing Floor.
Yeah, it is. That's the only one that's highlighted. I'm just saying the album itself is called Orgy of the Damned.
Yeah, you said Killing Fields. That's a different song.
No. Oh, fuck. What the fuck, stupid thing? Hello. I can't see it. It just says Killing Fi. What's the song called?
Floor. Killing Floor.
Killing Floor. Maybe that's maybe that's what it is. Killing Floor. You just can't. The way the fucking iTunes does this shit.
That's an old Howlin' Wolf song. It's an old blues standard. Yeah. Yep.
Got it.
That's it. Kicks ass. Slash can play anything.
Yeah.
Listen to how cool Brian Johnson sounds.
Yeah. That didn't sound like Brian Johnson.
Isn't that cool? Yeah. Slash
Right
kicks
on,
ass,
dude.
man. They all kick ass, but it's cool to hear Slash play straight blues like that.
And it's cool to hear Brian Johnson actually sing instead of screaming in key. But
Yes.
I heard that he was before AC/DC. He kind of
That's how he
that was
sang.
Bon Scott. One of the
No,
two.
you're right.
Yeah. Okay. So it was him.
Yeah.
It was him.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
100%.
That's just fucking crazy, man. That's fucking crazy.
And that's what everybody's been saying that's, huge Brian Johnson fans or have known him their whole lives is it's great to hear him singing like he did before he joined AC/DC. I mean,
Yeah.
he had to become that guy in AC/DC because
Sure.
the role required it. But it is so cool to hear him really sing,
Yep. It is cool.
And then when you watch the video, you see Steven Tyler just shred on the blues harmonica. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear that. I just bought the whole album. So, you know how
What
I
did
roll.
you-
I don't just buy one song.
I keep meaning to ask you, what did you think of that Cold Stairs album you listened to?
I'm still I like it. I've listened to it a few times. It's kind of like we talked about. It's kind of got that dirty rock vibe, Buck Cherry and that kind of just, to me, dirty rock is like, you do nothing but party and play music.
Right.
So it kind of has that feel to it. The songs are different. Like, I listened to it as was mowing the lawn and shit. For those of you who don't know, I have an acre, so it takes me a while. But some of the lyrics, it's like it's a trip, like Viking-ish era and what is it, like cannonballs and shit, and that was kind of a trip. I wasn't expecting that. Like, it's so off the norm of what people write about. So it was kind of interesting for sure. They're still on my playlist. So
I thought you'd appreciate it.
Yeah. Anything's different. Anything that's different is cool, man.
You're gonna
like
get
we
that.
saw this.
You're gonna get that Slash song stuck in your head, and you're gonna listen to it like 500 times, like I did. I guarantee you.
Does Brian Johnson sing on the whole record or just that song?
I have no idea. I just thought it was that one-off song. You just told me there was a record. I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, it's pre-order. So because I know when he works with Miles from Alter Bridge, it's Miles Kennedy / Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators. So that one just says Slash. So it'll be interesting to see if he just sticks with one like he does with Miles. I love Miles, but I don't like what Slash and Miles do together. I don't like when Miles does Guns N' Roses because it's just not like, dude, just stay in your lane over there. Be Alter Bridge. You're not Guns N' Roses. It's kind of like when Axl goes and tries to do Black.
I like the
AC/DC,
Conspirators.
like say, dude.
It's different.
I'm not a big fan of that stuff. Yeah, I'm just not I love Miles Kennedy for what he does in Alter Bridge. Like I don't.
get it.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's it's kind of like when Axl went and took over for Brian Johnson, AC/DC. Like, no, dude, you can't sing anymore, Axl. I mean, go
That
away.
was a travesty.
It was a travesty. I saw a video of him singing November Rain at Lisa Marie Presley's funeral, and I'm like, dude, you just fucking destroyed the funeral. Like, dude, just stop. I respect the fact that he still wants to sing and he's not singing, he's not lip syncing,
Right.
but he sounds so bad. He's just if I couldn't sing the way I wanted to sing, I just wouldn't sing anymore. Like just come to that point to where like, okay, you can't hit those notes, and it's either you sound like shit live or you got to lip sync. Well, I'm not lip syncing, so it's see you later, or just change the dynamic of your voice and what you sing, and don't do those fucking hits anymore. He sounded terrible, man, terrible, and that's the thing with throat singers, right? And that's why I learned how to sing not just with my throat, because it was destroying my vocal cords. But I can still do that, but not to the like I couldn't do a full hour and a half show right now to save my life. I'm not in that kind of vocal shape. But throat singers like Axl and the dude from Shinedown. Here's a perfect example. I'm so butterflying spiders on the wall.
It's all good.
Shinedown, that dude can sing fucking from his throat like a motherfucker, but then he can also sing from that guttural diaphragm and mix the whole thing together. Because when they first came out, I'm like, oh, this dude's never gonna last. He's gonna blow his throat out, like every other raspy vocal singer. But
That's
learned,
just how he sings.
right, and he's learned how not to do it in a damaging way.
Brian
And
Johnson is another great example.
Sure,
His throat
Sure,
is so
especially knowing
clenched
that-
you can see the veins in his neck, dude.
Mhm.
Come on now.
Yep.
And
It's
if
crazy
anybody,
insane, man.
if we're gonna keep going down rabbit holes, I'm fine with that. If anybody's interested in going
let's go
down
rabbit
like
holes.
a geeky, Chris is super interested in vocalists and their style and what makes them what they are.
Yeah.
I became the same way because I found a YouTube channel called The Charismatic Voice. This girl is super cute for one, so she's easy on the eyes. But she is a trained opera singer and vocal coach.
Oh no
and
shit.
she never listened to heavy metal until she married her husband, who I think must be a heavy metal musician or very knowledgeable about it, because he turns her on to all this music. And she fell in love with it because she started dissecting the styles and, what makes these people great, especially the people that the general public don't think are great singers, like a James Hetfield or a Ronnie James Dio, who I can't believe anybody wouldn't think is a great singer.
fuck.
But if you don't like heavy metal, you're like, oh,
Right.
that Dio guy, he's just a devil worshiper, which he wasn't. at
Oh
all.
yeah, the ignorance is bliss thing, right?
But what a
That was
voice
his
on
grandmother.
him.
For those you don't, everybody's heard that story. That was his grandmother, fucking being evil. Like, come in.
It
come
was
here.
supposed to ward off
see you.
demons. His grandmother taught him that to ward off demons.
Oh,
if you do
there
the
you go.
if
Yeah.
you do the horns
Yeah.
out front, yeah.
Yeah, demon.
And then to make it cool,
Of course, that's
some
yeah.
geeky kids just said, "Oh, it's a Satan man. He's
Mhm.
trying to worship and raise Satan."
Right. It's kind of like that era where Kiss was Knights in Satan's service.
Yeah,
Rush was running under Satan's honor.
yeah.
Asia was and Satan is alive. Styx was the river in hell. Just AC/DC was something to do with bisexuality because of the AC/DC. Whatever fucking weird shit was there. That's kind of like the epitome of fucking the '80s nonsense, parental guidance, Tipper Gore bullshit.
Yes.
Whatever happened to Tipper Gore?
Well, I think her and Al retired off into the sunset with their many hundreds of millions of dollars, and which is what I would have done too. Fuck this shit. I don't know. I don't hear anything about either one of them anymore, to be honest with you. Do
I
you?
don't either. I don't. Last I heard was Al Gore won the Nobel Peace Prize for something, and that was it. Tipper had a moment in the sun with her parental advisory sticker. So when she dies, here's what I want to know. Is there going to be a mass amount of people that go to her gravestone and etch in swear words and then stick a parental advisory sticker on the bottom? because I think that would be legit. You know what I mean?
It would
Like, here lies
definitely.
Chipper Gore, all the fucking stuff, the political side of things, and everybody just goes in there and starts etching like Morrison's grave, where you have all these sayings and and you just have little fucking scribbles of swear words all over the place. That would be fantastic. Would be awesome. I would pay to see that.
It would definitely be deserving.
It would be.
Right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, all she did was bring rock and roll, the '80s metal, to that much more of a forefront, because all the kids were like, "Wait, what's going on?"
She actually helped. Come to find out, after it's all said and done, and they went back and they looked at all the data and blah blah blah. I've watched many documentaries on this. She actually started selling records for bands who had profanity on their album by about 30% over bands that did not have profanity on their album, because kids actually started looking for that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And nobody ever
publicity is bad
denied me
publicity.
buying one of those records.
No, me either. I don't think anybody ever said, "Can I see an ID, son?"
I was like, there's fucking cussing on this record, man. This one's for me. Here's another squirrel
Right.
moment while you're texting. Squirrel.
I know somebody else is bothering me. Sorry.
No, it's all good. So I was in the record store. I don't know. I must have been 13, 12, something like that. Who knows? I'm leafing through the records.
Okay.
By then it was cassettes. So I see this crazy artwork, and my buddy Rob could tell you who it is, because he either knew the guy that did their artwork, or knew a guy who knew a guy, whatever. He's going to be on the podcast eventually. He'll tell us. But anyway, I found Molly Hatchet, thinking they were a heavy metal band, because they had the most wicked artwork. Like these demon knights riding horses with pitchforks and swords and flames coming out behind them. And I was like, this is going to be some heavy shit, man. They're a southern rock band from Florida.
Mm-hmm.
We all know that. Molly Hatchet.
That's the one thing I will. That's the one thing I will say that is lost in today's world is album covers.
Oh, 1,000,000%.
Like, you could go to a record store, right? You can go to record stores now, but back in the day, you could legitimately spend half a day in a record store just looking at album covers and going through and trying to find something cool. And you can still do it now, but it's back then it was such an art form. Like, there's shit, the Scorpions, because I was a huge Scorpions fan growing up. Some of their stuff is just, the covers are banned now. Like, just, you Google Scorpions album covers, man. There's some of the most fucking debauchery, male chauvinistic, covers ever. Just like, there's one where a girl's fucking a guitar. I think that's from Entrance. Animal Magnetism, I think, has a topless chick, and the guy's hand is with bubble gum. So it's like he pulled away from her boot.
That was a great cover.
Just, right. There's all kinds of fucking, like, Bon Jovi's original cover, "Slippery When Wet," was an inner thigh of a chick, slippery when wet. And they're like, "Fuck you can't do that." So then it was just like, okay, here's a picture of water, Yet now you can fucking do anything you want, and there's no real anything except for the sticker. So there's that. Remember tapestries? Do you ever have tapestries? Those big cloth things that would hang. You could hang.
Oh, hell yeah, hell yeah! Blacklight ones too.
I had a bunch of those. I came across something the other day on I was tooling around on something, and Scorpions Love It for Sting, because I had that one, and that was that. If you remember that album cover, at least the tapestry was the chick was getting a tattoo on her inner thigh, and the tattoo gun was a scorpion, and so it was a stinger. That was, it was just fucking creative, man. Creative shit back then.
Yeah, I agree with you. That is one thing that, like, the kids today probably have no concept of what we're even talking about, because I don't know.
Mm-mm.
I think there's artwork that comes along with that digital stuff that you buy. I've never
like
I've never really even
Slash
looked
is-
at
the
it.
reason- Slash is that you can't really tell. Where's that song? Because they just did that song. It's
It's just not the same though, man.
It's-
It's
hold
going in
on.
the record store and
no.
looking
I mean,
at
you
the
can.
actual
I mean,
album
Right.
cover, you know?
right. It's the one thing about the digital. Like his album is called. It's a blues album. They call it an Orgy of the Damned, and you won't be able to see it, but there's an orgy going on in the album cover. It's moving. See the animation.
Oh, I do now,
Maybe.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's hard with me in the background.
No, I
but
saw
yeah,
it.
so they're having sex. Which Tipper Gore? We should send this to Tipper Gore. Hey Tipper, what do you think about this?
Oh, she'd roll. She'd have a fit.
Oh, she would. But that's the thing. It's like even.
So once again, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Or the American public a question.
Okay.
What is that hurting?
Okay.
Is that hurting anybody?
Nothing.
Does that album cover
No.
hurt anyone? If you don't like it, don't look at it, you
Mhm.
know? I think we're getting further and
exactly.
further away from that thinking again. And like everybody's offended by
are.
everything, for Christ's sake.
They are. It's
If you don't
ridiculous.
like it, don't
It's
watch
true.
it, don't listen to it. But for Christ's sake,
Right.
shut the fuck up. Nobody cares about your opinion that you don't like what I like. I don't like what you like either. I
Right.
don't care what you
Exactly.
wear. I don't care what you listen to. As long as you're not forcing shit down my throat, you go ahead and listen to the Oak Ridge Boys every day. I don't care. As long
Right.
as I don't have to listen to the Oak Ridge Boys every day, I'm happy.
Dude.
You know,
Dude, you don't like the Oak Ridge Boys?
that was a bad
on, man.
example. I couldn't think. I do like the Oak Ridge Boys.
You couldn't think of one, Nicole. It's hard to pick a band that you don't like on some way, shape, and form, because that's the one thing about you and I. We just like everything. We're
I like
music
everything
lovers
that
first and
I like
foremost, and-
everything that doesn't suck, man. So that narrows it down.
Right. Oh yeah. You gotta
If
have
it
that
sucks, I
part of
don't
for
like it.
Sure. Yeah, it can't suck. It's gotta be good. But you and I are a lot alike in that aspect. That it's just music, man. It's music. It's a musical
Yes.
journey. I'm plugging
Yeah,
my
I
watch
actually-
if you're wondering what I'm doing.
That's kind of funny because I had that in one of my notes to talk about the fact that you and I don't think of music in genres like other people. So sometimes it's hard for us to
No.
talk about it like
Yeah.
that. You know, it's not blues or country or rock. It's either
Agreed.
a good song or it's not a good song. I don't care what style you sang it in.
Correct. It's either nope.
That's the
Agreed.
consumer. The consumer has to have a
Absolutely.
category to
Uh-huh.
call it. You know, I'm a country music fan. I'm a rap country music fan. I'm a whatever. I only like blues. I
rap
like the
country
blues.
music. What the fuck?
No, that's terrible.
Yeah.
It's all fucking terrible now.
Yes, Nikki and I go dancing. We go country dancing on Saturdays. Used to go weekly. Now we kind of change things up. But this Saturday we went to Top Golf. Holy shit, that was fun. You a fellow golfer. But when we've gone, the Denim and Diamonds place in Mesa, man, there's like legit some of the stuff. I'm like, what? This isn't fucking country music. It's legit. It's rap.
Yes. And
But
elements
they put a steel guitar to it, so it's country.
and elements of pop rock and rock.
Elements. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and they threw it in a blender and they found a guy that could twang. Sometimes the guy doesn't even have an accent. You
Yep.
know, he's like a fake country guy.
Right.
Those are my favorite. You know, that's adorable.
Right.
He lives in Manhattan, you know, and he drives a Mercedes, whatever. I don't know what Mercedes are,
Yeah.
but big fancy Mercedes. And he lives in Manhattan in a penthouse. And then he puts a cowboy hat on and he goes and that was the whole premise of that Pure Country movie, which was kind of terrible with George Strait.
Yeah, George Strait. Yep. I know what you're talking about.
But the premise of it was cool. You know, that was supposed
Yeah.
to be him starting
Mhm.
out for the right reasons, being pushed into the wrong reasons, which is
Right.
easy to do when you got a million people telling you how
Right.
great you are and millions of dollars are rolling in your bank account.
Right.
But credit to him, he
Mhm.
righted the ship and he became a legend instead of a parody of himself, which is what happens to a lot of those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at
George
Garth
Strait
Brooks.
is a living fucking legend. He is not a
He
parody
is.
of himself.
Nope. And the only reason I say Garth Brooks, he's a fucking entertainer up the wazoo. But if you look at every one of his album covers, they are all photoshopped. They are all touched up. He has been the most in shape country singer for his entire life. And if you look at him in real person, it's night and day. Like, I'm sorry, dude, you're not that thin. You're not in that good of shape. But if you look at his album covers, he's, that high cheekbone, sunken in the cheeks. It's ridiculous. It's like, dude, everybody knows, Garth. Everybody fucking knows. Just stop.
I'm going to have to go look up some Garth Brooks photos because I can't say the last time I even saw the guy.
Yeah, look at him, dude. They're all there, and we've seen him. Nikki and I saw him. I've seen him a couple times, and dude, he's fucking phenomenal. He was here
He's
years
a great
ago. He did
entertainer.
back-to-back shows. Right, he did 2 shows. He was doing 2 shows a night at America West Arena. One was at 4 to 7, then the other one was 8 to 11. We saw the second show, and it was just fucking. You wouldn't thought that he was on stage 3 hours ago. I mean, he's just, and it was literally 3-hour shows with an hour gap, so people could shuffle in and out. It was just fucking flawless, and he knows he's the Paul Rogers version of country. He can fucking just, he knows how to control the crowd. He knows how to get them into it. He knows how to engage them. He knows how to sing, what to sing, when to sing, how to cheer, when to cheer. Just he walks out on stage, and it's a 3-hour. Right, 3 hours later, the show's over. You're like, what the fuck? That was 3 hours, seriously? Because he has that much of a presence when he does his thing.
And that's a very important point that you're making to people that are not in the, we were in the music business for a long time. We understand what you're talking about, but the general public does not. If you asked Chris after a 90-minute performance, if in 2 hours he was ready to do another 90-minute performance, he'd start laughing at you until you go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Unless you were prepared for
Absolutely.
that. You would know what to do to prepare for that.
Right.
But if somebody asked you, like, in the middle of a 3-show run, do you want to do a back-to-back on one night? You'd be like, fuck no, because then I wouldn't be able to perform the 4th night,
Right.
Your instrument is on your body at all times.
Right. And I never did a show where I wasn't. I didn't do shows to the fact that I'm not going to be here tomorrow, but I was tired every time we were done. Like,
we all were.
There was no issues. Yeah, there was no issues with me going home because I didn't just stand there and sing. And that's I don't like singers to just stand there and sing. It's boring. Like, I've seen stuff lately, like with the groups we grew up with, like Phil Collins went out on tour, and a dude just sitting there in a chair singing because physically he can't stand. Well, dude, don't fucking go on tour, man. Don't make that the last thing that somebody remembers of Phil Collins.
How did he sound, though?
Wobbling your ass.
I never saw any of that.
I didn't see him live. I heard it. It wasn't engaging, man. I didn't get captivated by it because I couldn't get past the fact that he's just sitting there. It's kind of like,
I agree with.
I love Don Henley's Boys. Yeah, I love Don Henley's Boys of the Summer. Fucking that song comes on the radio, I turn it on. I mean, it's just that whole cool record, song, right?
Amazing.
Oh, fuck yeah. Building the Perfect Beast.
Yes.
Outstanding. Sunset Grill, fucking he hit his stride with his solo shit, that and then he took it to a whole nother level with the End of the Innocence album, because then he had Bruce Hornsby on there playing piano with him, and just
that was a good album too.
Songwriting, longer songs, and But I saw something live with him doing Boys of the Summer. Dude, it's fucking boring as hell because he's just sitting behind the drum kit singing, and everybody else is just. It was with the Eagles, obviously, and everybody else just standing in their spot. Like when I was acting, we had this thing we had to learn. You have to own your space on stage. Nobody likes you pacing back and forth. So pretend you have a gold thread from the tip of your head to down to the bottom of your foot, and if you move, you're going to snap that gold thread. That's what the Eagles are like on stage. When I've seen videos, they just stand there.
But
that just would fucking bore the hell out of me.
But they're my dad's age, You know, you got to remember they weren't like that when I saw them.
True.
Okay, let me back up. So
Okay,
backing all the way up to
Do we do
what?
the backup sound? Boop, boop, boop.
Thank you. My tongue just got like the size of a fucking mountain. I couldn't talk. So in the middle of their set, they must have thrown that song in there.
Right.
Because when I
Yeah.
saw the Eagles, it was kind of weird because Don Henley had a drummer for all his solo stuff. And then
That is weird.
he played drums for all the Eagles stuff. Well, what it did is it let him come out and be a frontman.
Him
He did
run-
what you
I
wanted
gotcha.
him to do. I think he got to the age where he was like, fuck that. I'm just going to sit back here and play my drums. And the people that are coming to see my show for the most part are cool with, you know, what they're seeing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
people my age
I do.
and older that are probably going to most Eagle shows, right? Baby boomers down
True.
to maybe 50, 45. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
He probably just said,
I
fuck
could
it,
see that.
you know?
Yeah. No, I agree with that statement for sure.
I got to
You
see
know.
the Eagles on their Hell Freezes Over tour when they finally came out of retirement. So I saw
Oh,
the first one
yeah.
and they were ready to kick everyone's ass, and they did. And I was so happy
Yeah.
because it cost me $100 a ticket, and that was a lot of money in 1994 or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was. Wow.
You remember my cousin Neil?
I believe so.
Him and I went to see him. He got us like really good tickets at Sun Devil Stadium. Los Lobos
nice.
opened up for him.
Oh, I remember Los Lobos.
Yeah.
La 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 la
Lowrider.
la bamba. They did
No, That's
yeah,
Richie Valens. They did Lowrider.
I know, but Los Lobos did it too though. They did.
They did La Bamba too?
What the fuck? Well, just they covered it, but yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Why do
I
I
could
not
swear.
remember that?
I could swear. I could be wrong.
No,
I
you're
could be
probably
wrong.
right.
You know,
I don't
I'm not always right.
I don't remember a lot these days.
It's you know, that's life in the fast lane. Going to make you lose your mind. Life in the fast. First time I ever heard an Eagles song was watching Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and it was a cover with the band that was playing at the prom. Life in the Fast Lane. That was my introduction to the Eagles.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. I was like, no shit.
That's a great
and then
riff.
I think like a month later, I got the Eagles, the Long Run, the Eagles album, The Long Run. I'm like, holy shit, this is a badass band.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the first bands my dad gave me.
That song, right on. In the City, that song In the City. Have we talked about that before?
Yeah.
The end of the,
that's a great
you know,
one.
remember the movie The Warriors? Warriors, come out and play, yay. Remember that?
Yes,
movie?
I do.
Yeah, that was at the end of that movie. And this is what music does, people. If you're coming from another planet, this is what music does. It what is it? It time stamps a moment in your brain, and it takes you back. Because I remember the first time I saw the Warriors, the end of it, where they come around the dock or the boardwalk in Jersey, that opening riff for In the City hit, and they're like, oh, this is how I know we're home. You know, Michael Pyre was talking to the other guy. This is how we know we're home. We see the ocean. You know, this is peace, man. But that song just fucking, and then they're just walking down the beach while the song plays and the credits roll. That just fucking resonated. That's what cooked me into that song, because like that's just such a fucking cool song. I heard it years before, right, on the actual album itself. But
and look how that memory is imprinted on your brain.
Right? Exactly.
Isn't that fascinating?
So, it's insane, man. It's fucking insane. It's kind of like. Go ahead.
No, finish your thought.
Well, go ahead.
I remember. I know what I'm going to talk about. Go ahead.
We'll talk about it then. Go ahead. No, I was just going to talk about other moments like that, but go ahead. I'll drink some water.
No, I was just thinking there's songs that come on my playlist.
Yeah.
There's songs that come on my playlist, man, that like
open up.
Just the floodgates open up, because I'll start, putting them in my notes. I can't think of a good example right off the top of my head for obvious reasons, but I'll just start fucking bawling because I remember a moment in time that I was there and someone else was there, and it was just, one of those beautiful moments that you just don't forget, and you're like, oh my God,
Yep.
it takes you right back
Yep.
every fucking time.
It does. There's so many because music's been such a massive part of our lives. There's so many songs that come on. It's just, and it instantly takes me to a moment in time, and it's never fails.
Listening to
Doesn't matter
Freeman,
what the,
I relived.
yeah, fuck yeah, dude.
I relived about
That-
15 shows in
Yeah.
my head, different times that we played it on stage and what
That's
happened, and
awesome.
it all just came flooding back. It was beautiful. I shed
Yeah.
a few tears mastering that.
It's such a good song.
It just,
It's such a good
So-
song. You gotta,
for the people
So-
that aren't privy to all this, that song is so special to
Yeah.
me because it was the moment in time that Scott and I bonded.
mm-hmm.
And then when you came in, like getting that tribal beat out of him, he didn't play like that, man. That wasn't his style. He was a straight, he was a school drummer. He took lessons, he was very proficient at what he did, but he played straight drums because that's what everybody in his life made him do. And when he met me, I was not a traditional musician. I took lessons, but I hadn't really played in a structured band until I met Scott. I had jammed with my friends in their basement and, learned cover songs and shit like that. But this was my first go at being an original musician and writing original music. And I wanted it to be heavy. I was into Metallica and Anthrax and Megadeth, and that was where my heart was at the time. But oddly enough, I was also into Leonard Skinner and Molly Hatchet and the Allman Brothers. And, I'm definitely an enigma. Stevie Ray Vaughan is my favorite guitar tone of all time and one of my top 5 players, but I digress. Anyway, I told him, I just want it to be bigger and meatier, and he's like, I don't know what that means. And I said, like more drums, man, like hit them harder and like more of this over here, meaning the toms. I didn't even know what all that shit was, stupid.
Right.
And all of a sudden he just started putting the toms where the snare and the hi-hat should go. And I'm like, yeah, that right there. That's what I want to hear. And he just started laughing. He said, nobody ever told me to play more or hit them harder. So he said that struck me as funny, but he's like, I can do that.
That's awesome.
And that's where that beat came from. It just, all that came flooding back, writing that song with him, being there with you and hearing those lyrics for the first time and going, fuck yeah, that's what I want to say. That's the message that we want to deliver. I thought that was cool. It's when we were 22 years old and 24, whatever you were at the time, 23.
I don't know.
I still want to say that
somewhere
today.
around
And I'm happy to say that I still want to say that today because so many people my age have drifted in different directions and got sucked into the matrix, so to speak, and, speak the speak and walk the walk and blah, blah, blah. It drives me. It's exhausting, but it's cool that those lyrics still speak to me the same way they did when I heard them for the first time. It's like, yeah, that's what I want to be. I want people to leave me the fuck alone and let me do what I want to do, and you do what you want to do. And as long as we don't hurt each other, everybody's happy, right?
Yep.
You may have had an entirely different
I never
message,
do that,
but that's what
no,
I
but
got.
I never. But that's cool though. I never do. That's how you interpreted that. That's fucking awesome. But that's the beautiful thing about being a songwriter. You write for whatever. Like I don't remember my headspace when I wrote that song, right? But
Okay.
it was so long ago. But I mean, it's cool. It's cool that you have that. That was your perception of those lyrics, and I love that. Every
time I played it,
when I think of stuff, yeah. When I think of things like, it doesn't matter what the song is. You always have your own interpretation of it because that's what the beautiful thing about music is. It's just, it takes you back to that spot time in your life, kind of like In the City, at the end of the Warriors movie. Like, I don't know how many people would fucking remember that shit,
And I
But
love
that's
hearing
the cool thing about it.
I love hearing songwriters, like this particular instance, you don't remember your headspace at the time, but you'll hear guys describe, and you can do that with a lot of your songs, but you'll hear people, lyricists describe, here's where I was at, here's what I was feeling. And if it's a song that I've heard
Yep.
a million times in my life and it meant something else to me, I agree. That's so cool. It's like, that's not what I got out of it at all. But, you know, I like to hear the original story.
Yeah.
And I've heard Hetfield talk about this particular subject so many times. James Hetfield from Metallica, for those of you who are not in the know,
Sure.
living under a rock.
Right.
But he always talks about the same thing, that it's beautiful to him, just like it was to you, to hear somebody tell him what those lyrics meant to them, because it hardly ever meant the same thing to him, you know?
Right. And
So
and
like for
rightfully
you
so,
to
because
know
it's-
that every night on stage, that's how I felt. I was like, fuck yeah, man. Nobody tells us what to do. We're free men.
Yeah.
We do what we want. Leave us alone. We'll leave you alone. Everybody's cool.
Yeah.
That's what I got
Yeah.
out of it.
Yeah. 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 And I get that. I can get that now. I can understand that vibe to it for sure. That's cool, man.
I just always felt like he was a dude
That's
that was
really
never
cool.
going to give up, you know, because that's what you say in the song.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to fight
Yeah.
until the end.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
I don't believe what you
Yeah.
believe. I believe what I believe. And it's funny because I became that person. I believe what
That's
I believe,
awesome.
and I don't really. You got to speak logic to me
Yeah.
to get me to buy into your bullshit now. That's where I'm at. If
Yeah.
you're selling something, I'm going to be skeptical up front, because I worked hard, and it's not me thinking that I'm better than anybody. Let's get that up front.
Right.
I worked too hard to get my
Right.
sanity back to be the person I am talking to everybody today. And that means more to me than anything. If I have to sit in quiet for an entire day to make sure that I don't go fucking crazy again, that's what I do. So if you're selling some kind of religion or bullshit or whatever, it better make sense. Because if there's one iota of, I don't think so, that's where I'm going to jump off the bus. I try and be a good person every day. That's all I need to know, you know?
Yep. I like that. I like that a lot.
So as I listened to that song today, I was like, holy crap, I became that person.
That's a trip. I have, dude, speaking of, so the song I wrote, Shadow by Your Side, which is I wrote, it's the council umbrella, but I wrote it as a polar opposite to Nirvana's Polly, right? Because Polly was about the girl being, was it Polly? I think it was Polly. Was Polly the one he wrote about the girl being abducted?
Yes. Yep. Polly.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So Shadow
What a great song.
is about the abductor. Right. So Shadow is about the abductor. It's from the vantage point of the abductor. Like, I'm going to abduct you. This is what I am. I'm a shadow by your side. I had just one of my fleeting thoughts that I have, like, that would be a great fucking story.
That's
Take
creepy
that
as
song
fuck,
and turn
dude.
it
I
into a
like
story.
it.
Right? You take that song and turn it into a fucking story, because legit. And we were watching something, Nikki and I literally out of nowhere, it's like, oh, this would be a great story to write. And I'm thinking about the lyrics, like, fuck, that would be really, really dark. And with the technology in today's world, like, you know, turned into a movie type thing off a song, it could be so fucking creepy, man. Just way creepy, because, you know, I'm not going to go down the path, but it would be. It's just imagine if, for those of you listening, go to the Google machine or iTunes, whatever, and just type in, you know, Hollow Council, Shadow by Your Side. We're not going to drop the first name that's associated with it, but that should come up, and it's a headphone song. You have to listen to it with headphones because of all the shit we did behind it. I love it. It's one of my anthems. I always thought, like, was, you know, like, such a fucking creepy little soft, gentle song, but it's so dark and demented, and just I had looks when we were in Nashville mixing that down. I had looks from the sound people when they were like, "Do you have lyrics for this?" I was like, "Yeah, here you go." And it's just like, "Oh, fuck." It's like, you know, and I had to explain.
I don't know
it was
if
the
I
other
ever
side
heard
of
that.
the darkness.
Did I?
It's the other side of the darkness. Yeah, I don't. You may have. I don't know.
It was probably a long time ago.
I don't.
My,
Yeah,
my
I don't think
memory's
it was
shot.
on the. It wasn't. It wasn't. We didn't play it because it couldn't. It wasn't translated very well live. We did it a couple times, and it just you could feel the crowd go, "Woof," because it just it's just not. It's not a live song.
Yeah, you know, a
Um,
song that comes to my head
So
that
so
is like that is Voodoo by Godsmack. That one does not translate live very well at all.
yeah,
It's a great headphone.
Yeah.
Like you said, you put the headphones on and you listen to Voodoo by
Right.
Godsmack, it'll take you to
Yeah.
another place. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
song. But
yeah.
like you said, live, it
Yeah.
just some songs just don't work.
No, they don't, and it's not for anything other than they need to be studio songs. They need to be listened at home songs and headphone
Correct.
songs.
They're meant to be delivered
You
in
know.
that manner.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Kind of like with how Ozzy used to fuck with shit in the studio. The Crazy Train put headphones. Listen to Crazy Train in headphones. It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
You know, it just there's, and that's kind of like I learned that when I did Welcome to Your Mind, the monologue of poetry, lyrics, and beliefs. You can't find that anywhere because I have the last remaining copy. Fuckers. It'd be fun to put that thing down digitally and see where it goes.
Yes.
But there's so much shit going on behind that, like, I mean, at the time, I still drank, so I was drinking Mickey's. For those you don't know, Mickey's is like the wino's poor man beer.
My dad just posted
was-
that on Facebook. That's funny you bring
Right on.
yesterday.
I did not know that. That's awesome. I was smoking back then. I don't know why. I thought it was cool, so I was, smoking Marlboro Lights. So while I'm recording this thing, I'm drinking and smoking, and I'm purposely not being quiet in the background at all while I'm recording it. It was raining, so we had a microphone outside recording the rainstorm while I'm in the studio that is dark. All you can see from the studio from looking out on the soundboard is the tech on the board running the board. I had candles around me in the studio itself, and I had a what the fuck is it? A music stand basically. So I had written this thing out, the Welcome to My Mind. So I was just reading it and going along with the flow of it, and because it was poetry and lyrics and beliefs, and kind of I intertwined the whole thing. And so you hear all the cool stuff. You hear the pages turn. You hear me taking the bottle cap off of the Mickey's. You hear me lighting a cigarette. And then I had this piece of copper. I'd go every now and then just for the hell of it, so that it'd make that waka 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 sound.
That's awesome.
It was cool. It's definitely, and it's a headphone trippy thing. It's not, if you don't have headphones on that while you're listening to it, it's just, you miss so much. And that shadow, you'd miss so much without headphones, because it's just, there's so many little nuances in there. Like I loved Jim Morrison's approach to Riders on the Storm, where he whispered. Right?
Yes.
You know that, right? The whole
Oh, yeah.
song.
Oh,
He
yeah.
laid the track and then he whispered it. I did the same thing in Shadow, because the song was called Shadow by Your Side. So I stole that idea from Jim. And there's a whole track recorded where I'm just whispering the melody and the chorus.
Well, if you go back
I
and
just thought
listen
that was-
to Freeman, you spoke another
Oh, yeah.
track underneath your
Yeah.
verse.
Yeah.
It was just in the verse, but that was really cool that
Yeah.
we did that.
Yeah.
It would be
Yeah.
cool to make like your main voice right down the middle and put that spoken guy like
Yeah.
60% on the left and come up with another
That would be-
guy and put him like 60% on the right. Now you got maybe like an opposing,
That would be cool.
not an opposing viewpoint, but an opposing, like instead of spoken, it could be like an octave higher or something or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I called that speak singing, because nobody was really doing it back then when we.
Oh,
when
it
we
was so
started doing
cool,
our
man.
shit.
I always liked that part.
Yeah. I did too. I always liked that.
Because didn't Rick do
ability
that
to just go
underneath live?
Some of the stuff, yeah. He would take off what he was doing, what I was doing, yeah, and he'd kind of spin it.
His bass line in that song is heavy duty, man.
Oh yeah. What's one of those songs that he changed the dynamic when he brought a bass line in?
Agreed. So I don't know if we ever told the story about and Rick, if you're listening, I will out myself and Scott right here live on podcast. But anyway, after Rick left the audition, you were there, so you probably remember. We didn't think that he had the right look for the band. We were that vain back then. And Carrie poked her head out from the kitchen and said, "That's the best you guys have ever sounded, ever."
I remember that.
And that's the last time we worried about what Rick looked like.
Yep.
Because you're right. He brought such a dynamic, and for whatever we thought he lacked in his look back then, I apologize for being that much of a fucktard.
It was your band. We were just, I mean, I was.
It was our band at that point.
But it's true though. But it's true though. So much of it back. Yeah, go ahead.
I agree. I know where you're going with it. Scott and I were probably dominating personalities because we had just left somebody and we were protective of, what we thought the image and the sound should be. Sure. And I'm sure we were like that. And I apologize for that because none of that shit fucking matters.
No, it wasn't. No, but it wasn't. It wasn't a bad thing. It wasn't like how the stories are that how Metallica just destroyed Newstead for years.
No, I don't think we were like that.
No. It was your baby. Like you step into something like that. It was. I never took anything when I joined the band for granted. The fact that I think that's why we worked well too, though, and I had respect for that you guys created this thing.
You did in the beginning.
And, I was gracious enough.
But it was so new that, I think we welcomed both you guys at some point as, like we're all equal. You know, there was no more of that. We knew we could trust you. That's what it got. We had to get to the point where we knew that you weren't going to bail. You weren't going to fuck us over. You were going to show up for the practices. Right. You were going to show up for the gigs. Right. That was the thing that was the most important to us is if we're not gigging, we're practicing, and we take like whatever, one day off a week or something, Yeah. It was, I know that back then that part was brutal.
Yeah, it is. It was what it was, man. It was
fun.
Necessary to get to where we wanted to. Yeah. And that's how we grew. That's how you grow as a band. That's how anybody grows on anything they're doing. You have to do something 10,000 times to be good at it, and you still got to do it 10,000 more times to be even better at it.
Yes.
So the more you play a song, and that's why it's hard when you play virtually the same set list with mixing in or out maybe 4 or 5 songs over the time we played. You still have to deliver that song like you're just playing it for the first time because somebody in the crowd is just hearing it for the first time.
Bingo.
So
you have to remember
that it one night, right?
That's it. You have to remember that's somebody's first time of ever getting an impression of what your band's like. And you're right, man. We gave it 110%, whether there was 2 people or 2,000.
Yep.
It did.
And I think that's why opening with Freeman, it set the standard because you couldn't. As a band, you couldn't play that song half-assed, regardless if any of us were off kilter that day or not in the right mindset or you had a bad day, whatever the fuck. Once that started going, you couldn't. We all fed off so much of each other's energy with that song, and that kind of, like you said earlier, it kind of laid the foundation. Like, this is who we are, so fucking sit down and get ready to fucking rock your ass off.
Yes,
because it was that driving, in your face, loud, aggressive, but melodic and had points to it. It wasn't just a random cliche song, right? There was purpose behind it lyrically. There's a purpose behind the music.
Correct.
And that completely set, lack of better term, it set the stage for what was coming next. And then you close the show with Intervention Divine. Talk about a fucking sandwich of songs.
We only I think we only did that once. I think we closed with Window of Hell more often than not.
Probably.
We got in trouble for closing with Intervention Divine because it was 12 minutes long.
I know. That was fucking epic, man.
It was a great song. Display Your Face from Galleries Hall. Tell me I don't think that's a great song. I me and lyrics, man. I don't remember a lot of lyrics. I love that lyric. It's stuck in my head to this day. I'm like,
That was
display
all
your
poetry
face from Galleries Hall.
Galleries Hall. Listen, beckon it calls or something. I got to pull that out. I got to find those again. I know where they are. They're right down there.
Whatever it was, I pictured it in my mind. I'm like, that's so cool because to me now it's a place, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I just saw all these heads, faces, you know? It's like millions of faces
Yep.
on walls
That
as far as you can see.
That was my descriptive. Yeah, that was my descriptive writing phase. I like to write things in great description. I had a class in college. It was called descriptive writing. The teacher, Sol Casa, and he was a Sikh, so he had the turban in his head, but very soft spoken. I want to say Indian, from India. I don't remember though. Sandals, kind of baggy clothes, but the dude was just straight up. He was a great fucking teacher. Like, it's the only teacher I remember from college was him, but he had that much of an impact on me because it was descriptive writing, and he taught me how to use my words and describe something. Like, you could take a paragraph, write a paragraph, and he'd take it and he'd be like, okay, now you need to write it descriptively by doing this, 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 and this, and you take that one paragraph, turn it into 8, and then all of a sudden you painted this little, postage stamp. Then all of a sudden, when you're done and turn it back in, you painted this entire canvas of a Bob Ross fucking journey. It was brilliant the way he
Bob Ross is behind
taught,
us,
and
ladies and gentlemen.
I know. I see.
He's right next to the lava lamp.
And that
I know he's real small.
There you go. There you go. And
Sorry.
that shit stuck with me, man. That descriptive writing. Not a lot of things stick with you when you go to school and shit, but that stuck with me for sure from a college standpoint. That's like, right on, and that kind of tweaked my writing. Everything I did from that point on had descriptiveness to it, to where it wasn't just, which is probably why I like the story songs. Yes, I want to hear whatever you have to say, Mike.
You want to hear a funny college story? I was just thinking,
Absolutely.
Chris just told this beautiful fucking
stories.
story about this great teacher he had. And here's what enters my mind. I had to take physics one semester. I had to take physics, and then another class was algebra 2 and trigonometry in the same semester. And I had never taken algebra in high school. So here's where I'm at. My first day of physics, this guy must have been, he was probably close to 70. I thought he was like 85 years old. But anyway, he looked like he was next to death. He goes up to the blackboard and he starts writing this problem out. And he turns around and he says, my wife just recently passed away, which was a sad part of the story. And he said, sometimes I forget to take my medication. So if I'm in the middle of a thought and I just quit, will someone please remind me to take my medication? I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. I never even took algebra and now I'm sitting in college physics. And this guy doesn't remember whether he took his medication or not. So I wonder if he'll remember whether I did the tests or not.
Wow.
Anyway, that's the guy I remember from college.
That's awesome.
Then come to find out that my roommate was dealing weed so he could put himself through school. So I learned all about drugs and selling drugs and buying drugs. And that was kind of like my entry into the, hey, you can make money at this and have fun.
There you go.
Allegedly.
Oh, college life. Right.
I think the statute of limitations says statute of limitations.
Statute.
Not statute.
Passed. No, statute.
Kramer really thinks it's statute.
Cosmo yes. Kramer.
Now you know.
This.
The cat's out of the bag.
Statue.
That is a statue.
Right. Statue.
This is a statute of limitations.
Little man likes that. And this, little man calls a rocket ship, even though it's the Empire State Building.
Well,
but in his
when
eyes,
you're little man's age, it looks like a rocket ship.
It's a rocket ship. So
still looks like a rocket.
I keep reminding him. Right. And I explained to him, that's fine, little man. You can play with the rocket ship, just don't break it. Because I have to go to New York to buy a new one. I don't want to go to New York to buy a new statue. It's a rocket ship, pop. Like, okay.
You're a long way from New York.
He got this thing yesterday. They're called the show and share bag. It's like show and tell from when we were kids. It's a show and share bag.
Okay.
He's got to bring 3 things. So he brought a picture of him and his baby brother Trip. He brought 2 robots because in his mind that was one thing because they're both robots. And he brought a stuffed chicken that's about this big. So when he came home from school yesterday,
I like the way
I take him to school. For those that don't, for those that don't know, I have little man every morning from about 6:30 to when I drop him off at school 8ish. So when he came home, Skylar took a picture of him with the show and share bag, talking to one of the chickens, telling the chicken what he had in his hand and what he was going to do. So usually I go get him in the mornings, but today Dozier kind of perks his head up and there he is. I'm like, oh, he's at the door, okay, and he's got his bag, he's got his chicken, he's got his robots, and he's got his picture of him and his baby brother. So that was his thing today. So when they opened my truck door to get him, it's all chicken and robots and. Like, you need your lunch, buddy. You need your lunch. So it'll be interesting to talk to him in the morning to see how his sharing went, because I find it hard to believe that he would not want to leave those things out once he got them, because he's a very young. He just turned 4 in December, so he started pre-K in the beginning of the school year. He was 3.5, so he's like the youngest one. So he's not mature enough to understand all the things yet.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see what he thought about the show and share bag and his little event of, talking about robots and chickens and his baby brother. One of those things, man. One of those things.
That's one aspect of life I guess I understand from my family and people that are surrounding me like you, but that's just one thing I don't have in my life.
Yeah. It'll happen if it's supposed to happen. You're too old now to have kids.
No. That's
buy
all
a dog.
Yeah, no. To be honest with you, I don't feel like I missed out on anything. It's just like I enjoy hearing the stories and I love my nieces and nephews, but it just wasn't I've told this story a million times because it finally became true. I never really realized who I was until not that long ago. When you go through an addiction, you become a different person.
Yeah.
And when you come out the other side, you're an entirely different person, So
correct.
To watch that DVD of me playing Freeman to see what that solo became, because I popped the DVD in on my computer, I was like, holy crap,
Nice.
Who is that guy? I'm not sure I could play that solo right now because I'm not that person.
Yeah.
But
right. Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that I lost my train of thought. See, that's what happens. Where was I going?
Well, we were talking about how you didn't miss it because you can't miss what you don't have.
Oh yeah,
that was the concept of it. You just you live vicariously through those around you, and you get that, but you don't need that to be a fulfilled person. That's all.
I was gonna say
had I not.
I was gonna tell you what I tell everybody else. I was not put on this planet to be responsible for another human being. That's the bottom line. I had enough trouble taking care of myself and figuring life out for myself. I would have just fucked somebody else up because I was pretty chaotic for a long time till I was about 37.
Yeah.
I didn't, I would drop whatever I was doing and do something else at the drop of a hat. You can't do that when you have a family.
No, you can't, unfortunately.
And I still have those tendencies, nobody would be surprised if I just said, hey, tomorrow I'm going to do this, because I really don't talk about what I'm going to do. I just do it.
You just do it. But everybody has tendencies, man. And I have those tendencies, but then I got to check myself. So they stay in my head.
Right. I don't have anybody to check me.
There's nothing more I'd rather have. Right. I just check myself, because then I have to, when you're in my world, it's not just about what you want. I have to think about those around me. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So even though I may want to just, fuck off and do a walkabout for, whatever pops in my head. I can't think of anything right this minute, but Like one of the things that ironically I've back in my head for years was, close up shop, go to Mexico and open a bar. A bartender, an alcoholic opening a bar. Well, sure, why not? I'm never going to drink it, but I, stand have a beach bar and watch the ocean all day.
I have a friend from the Nemesis
But,
days
life changed.
that keeps trying to get me to come down
Yeah.
there. Yeah. Daryl Haldane.
Oh, what's he
worked
do
with
down
him.
there?
He
What's he
retired
doing
down
down
there.
there?
He just retired down there.
Oh, right on.
His exact
Right on.
statement to me was, can you scrape together X amount of dollars? Doesn't matter what it is, but I said, yeah. He said, you can live
Right.
like a king for the rest of your life. And it was a surprisingly low number.
In Mexico.
Yeah. The
No
ocean is literally across the road from where he lives. He sent me a picture right out of his front door.
Wow.
He's looking at,
Yeah.
he's he's across from
That's awesome.
Cancun. So there's like a body of
Okay.
water between Cancun and him. I can't remember the
Okay.
name of the town, but yeah.
Right on.
There may come a day where, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Who knows? But I've had that thought myself.
Yeah. 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 It's the end game. Everybody's got to have an end game because life, after a point in time in life, you're just like, okay, now what? I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to work anymore. Nikki's at that. She's got 7 years left, I think, or I don't know what she has. Forget. I can't say how old she is. She'll get mad at me.
Yeah, that's not cool.
But if she spends 16 more years teaching, then she retires with full everything, as opposed to, and she could go 7, but it's only a fraction of what she'd get. So that's how they hook you. You have to have this magic number thing for teachers,
I can tell you one. I can tell you one thing for sure.
What's that?
And you and I have talked about it privately. Doing this podcast has been a lifesaver for me because I needed a creative outlet, and I can sit around and play guitar by myself, which I do all the time, but you can only do that so long before it's like, man,
Sure.
I wish I had a bass player and a drummer, a singer, because I've lived that.
Yeah,
I've lived at least that part of the dream. And when you've lived that part of the dream to the point where you took a song that was nothing and you took it and made it something, and then you went and played it in front of hundreds or thousands of people, you can only do that so many times by yourself again. And you don't, you just can't get that same. My point is, it's really cool to have an outlet for creativity again, and just to sit and talk with someone who's like-minded. We've talked about it before, doesn't get offended. You and I can say whatever. We know we're not going to take it personally. We're not directing anything at each other. These are just thoughts. And sometimes those thoughts are harsh.
They are.
And sometimes those thoughts are loving. And sometimes those thoughts are hard to listen to, But you and I are able to have those conversations without even thinking about it. You talk about abortion with somebody and they're like, oh my God, I can't talk about that subject. And I got to have an opinion that everybody else is in line with, and blah, blah, blah.
Yep. And you really don't.
I just like the fact that
I don't,
you and I have a way to be creative, at least.
Well, that's the thing, man. Like we need to get Rick involved. We need to
Agreed.
We need to lay down some shit. But what I learned in my time with council, because I was the one that was doing all the other shit, it's easy to get on different compilation things all across the world. Like that shit's really easy. So it's just a matter of we need to put our music together, and then we just start farming shit out. I mean, there's there's so much media in the world today as far as TVs and movies with all the different streaming platforms. Like, there's always going to be needs for music, for the soundtracks and things like that. It's the easiest thing to kind of get involved in that shit by just creating some kick-ass music and just start farming it out.
Yeah, we didn't have all these platforms.
People. No, that's the thing, man. It's just
we were isolated in one area.
Right. And I didn't it's not like I had to work super hard to get some of the council shit out there, some of the tracks. I looked, I forget what I did now because it's been so long ago, but I would Google something and, oh, okay, well, how do I do that? And then, okay, I could do this. So then I would just start sending out and they'd get picked up, and I'd fucking get a thing in the mail. Oh, here, you made the, I have a box of that stuff somewhere. I made Radio Days episode or number 13, for rock and roll. It's just a trip. It's cool. It's there's so many things out there now that it just takes one person to hear it. Be like, boom, game on.
Agreed.
Which is cool.
Agreed.
All right. Should we wrap this puppy up since I have to pee? and I restarted my computer again before we started this. So obviously that has been the correction to the problem.
Yes.
Because we're an hour and 15 minutes with no glitches, which is fantastic.
I thanked all the
And I
ladies and
apologize
gentlemen
for being late today. I just
No, it's all good. I thanked everybody on the previous episode on the Spotify page for bearing with us. It was, as you can see, I'm tongue-tied again. I lost a lot of sleep over that because everything was going along swimmingly. And when something like that changes, as Chris has pointed out many times, my mind is very analytical, and I ran through every scenario that I could think of, and I was hitting a brick wall every time. So I was just as frustrated or more so than anybody. So thank you for
probably more so because this is your baby. It's your world, man. I'm just living in it. And I love living in your world, I must say. I look forward to as much as you look forward to this, so do I, because it is that. It's that you can't be a creative entity and just turn it off. And I turned mine off for a while, and it just doesn't. I'm not a happy person when I'm not creative.
Agreed.
It's
and I will tell you,
it
means a lot hearing that from you. And I literally just heard that yesterday from another very dear friend of mine. Doesn't matter who it is, but that person will know who they are. And that meant a lot to me because I don't think of myself as that person. I'm just like, I'm just me and I'm existing. And to hear somebody say that it's important for them to, be in that world, that's cool, man. That means I'm still relevant. Yeah. And, I didn't think I was that person anymore either. I was like, I used to be Mike, the guitar player, and I was cool. And now I'm just Mike,
Yeah.
You're not the only person that's reminded me that I'm not just Mike. So I love you people. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And we love you too, man. This is why and I think I'm going to make us some of these with the Chris and Mike logo.
Awesome.
So watch your mail.
Oh, hey, what do you want to do about the t-shirts?
I don't know. I thought about maybe once we hit a what are we at number wise on our stuff? I was thinking maybe once we hit 1,000, we do something like that.
Yeah, 500 and something. Yeah.
Yeah. So once we get to 1,000, then we do something like that. Kind of like, hey, look what we did. Here you go. I was thinking about making wristbands too. I used to have wristbands for Good News Arizona. Fucking, that's ironic, dude. In my desk, right there, just a little wristband said Good News Arizona on it.
Well,
I looked into making those for Chris and Mike show.
I showed your design to a few people and they were interested. So if we want to talk about ordering them,
shirts?
Yeah, I think we could sell those shirts.
Right on.
Like 25 of them.
Okay.
And like you said, we could give some away for milestones and shit like that. People were interested.
But if you think, okay. Well, let's off air do the email back to Matt and see what we can come up with.
All right, and then whatever you want to do, I'll split the cost with you. So.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Right on.
But yeah, I'm interested in doing that.
Right on.
I'm sure you could sell a few. I've already had several people say they'd want them. So
once we get 1 million followers, we can tattoo the logo on our chests.
I can't wait for you to see this fucking desk I'm having built, dude. The logo is going to be...
I know.
The logo is going to be epoxied in the middle of the table. It's going to be so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's badass, man. That's way badass.
Yes, I can't wait.
All right, brother.
Right on, man.
Good show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We did it again.
Yeah.
Episode number 23.
We should do it again next week.
I think we shall.
We should. Right on. I'm Chris. He's Mike. This is Chris and Mike Show. Remember, you're not alone out there, people. You need some help. Reach out to somebody. Tomorrow's always a better day. Always a better day, regardless of what you're going through today. We're living proof of that, he and I.
Don't let the bad days win.
They're done that. Don't let the bad days win. Win the day. Win the day, brothers.
I love it.
All right, man. Cool.
Peace.
We'll see you later. Peace out, man.